Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. We're going to look at another Christmas tune here on the Dulcimer. So let me get this camera moved and we'll get into it. Okay, I do have tabs for this available for you if you're interested in that. There'll be information down below in the description for that. Okay, first I'll play through it here and then we'll slow it down and talk about it. We've got mostly quarter notes strumming with a few eighth note strums. And we'll talk about that in a minute here. So let me play it for you. This is an easy version of it. Here we go. Okay, so that is all out strumming, and that is when I'm pressing down a fret, I don't lift it. Listen to what happens when I lift it. I'll strum twice here, and listen to what happens when I lift it. You hear how it rang out the first time and the second time it stopped? That's because I lifted up just enough on the pressure there. So in our first measure, it goes like this. Okay, that's our first measure. So we've got quarter notes, but we have a couple of eighth notes. So our eighth notes are right here. Here's a quarter note, eighth, quarter note, quarter note. Okay, so what we can do there is between that 4 and 5 there and back to 4, we can lift instead of keeping it down. Here's what it sounds like down. Now let me lift and let's hear what that sounds like. You notice how that sounded a lot different? We can change so much just by doing things like that. Letting it ring, lifting it up. See how that changes the whole tone of it? So those are things you're going to want to do throughout this song. By letting it ring or not, okay? Now, there's also more eighth notes in the song, but in that first measure there, that's a great example of how you can change that pressure and decide what you want to ring out or not, okay? Okay, also on your eighth notes, that's a good time to practice your back strumming. Now, I want you to understand, you can do this all without strumming, and that's how I did it. But as you're practicing, you want to add in some of these back strums. An eighth note is a perfect place. So that would be like this. So watch my hand, my right hand here. You see how on that eighth note I bring it back? Okay, so that's good things to do there too. Now, this song also has some pauses in it, and I chose to fill those with strums. Okay, so let's just look at the second measure here. I'll play through the first and second measure, and there will be a pause at the end of the second measure, but I'm going to strum it for now, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's the first two measures. Okay, notice how I did an air strum there? That fills in the space for that pause, and I'd be ready for that next strum. But as beginners, it's oftentimes easier just to keep that strum going. Okay, so let me play the first entire line, the first 4 measures there for you, and then I'll play it with our pauses, and no strums, because there's 2 places in that line where we could pause, okay? So here's without the pause, slowly. Okay, I filled everything in there, okay? Now I'm going to do it with the pauses, and you can hear that. Okay, now, did you hear the difference there? Pauses are really nice and dramatic and things in music. But to start out with, just keep that strum going the way I have it in your tabs. And as you move along, then you can try to work in some of these pauses as you get better and things like that. Okay? All right, now we're just going to play through the strummed version slowly. And we'll play it together. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, then after you get that first version of the song, then try to do some of those pauses, try to do some of those back strummed eighth notes there, and then you can add in some chords, okay? All right, I hope you enjoyed that, got something out of it, and before I go out, I always want to remind you that Jesus loves you. Bye-bye, y'all.